Good morning, everyone. So the other day, we started looking at the priority queue, but we'll have a quick look and then we'll start, right? Can you hear me? All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Sir, your
Yeah.
voice is little low.
Okay. What about now? Is it better?
Yes, sir. Now better.
All right. Uh, we looked at an example that for if there are three jobs and our processor is waiting to process them in queue, then there is a possibility that the time required is going to increase. Like, for example, in this case, we had three jobs, A, B, and C. A wanted to print 100 pages, B, 10 pages, C, one page. And if our processor says that, I'm going to process everything in line, then the average waiting time, if we take FO, which is first in, first out. So first this is going to be processed, then this is going to be processed, then this is going to be processed. Then average waiting time is going to be 107 time units, right? Whereas if we prioritize this queue and we first process in place of processing as they arrived, if we process them first J, then B, and then A, the average waiting time is going to decrease almost by one third, right? So, what is the advantage? We have reduced the average waiting time drastically. So we know that a queue is capable of insertion, deletion, etc., etc. So this is what is the advantage of this particular sentence, that our queue is capable of insert and deletion. It means that if we create a queue of our jobs, and since we are capable of inserting and deleting elements, therefore these jobs can easily be uh, swapped, or we can create a new list. All we have to do is we have to replace the pointers. So for example, first in, first out, this points to this points to this. And if we utilize FIFO, or oh, sorry, if we utilize the qualities of a queue, all we have to do is we have to reorganize these array, these pointers, and we'll get a new queue where the processing is based on some kind of priority, right? So this looks quite advantageous, and this whole thing is called as priority queue. Now we are going to look at a few things about this priority queue, so that we can write down programs and we can utilize this particular power of queues to make sure that our programs are running as fast as possible. So the implementation of this priority queue is performed by something which is called as heap, right? A heap. This is the methodology with which we can implement the priority queue, right? So the property of a priority queue is going to be that whenever we get an item, it is to process, obviously, to process. It is going to be the one with the highest priority, right? And highest priority, how do we decide the highest priority? It could be that for example, in our previous case, the number of prints were 100 and then 10 and 1. We said that the smallest one is the one which is going to be processed first. So highest priority can be decided on the basis of the smallest item. We can actually have something completely opposite of it. We can first process those which are largest one, or we can define some other methodology with which we are going to say that these items are going to be the highest priority items. But for the discussion, we are going to consider that the size of the item, as big as it is, will have higher priority. But yes, as a programmer, we have full authority to write down a rule where the priorities can change, right? For example, if we have, this is our system, we have ALU unit, we have printers, printing queues, and then, for example, we have uh, input IO, and then we have something else which could be, for example, running your video, and we can write down a program which says that the first highest priority goes to videos, right? So even if the computer hangs, we don't mind, but video must keep on playing, which is kind of not possible, but we are taking this as a condition, right? Similarly, we can say that the first thing which is going to be processed is the one which comes from ALU, and the last is going to be the one which comes from printer. So if, for example, everything is going on, this is your first priority, this is your second priority, we say this is our third priority, and this is our fourth priority. So whenever we are running a video and a print command comes, then our program or our system is going to execute this printing command whenever we have some processor free from executing videos, right? So videos, whenever we run videos, we need to decompress. There are frames, and these frames are compressed using a particular methodology. So we have to use some processing power so that we can decompress them and play them as a contiguous series of these frames together with the audio, right? So the point is that based on this priority, we can perform many tasks, right? Any questions? Okay, you can ask the question. I mean, if you later on as well, whenever you have one in mind. So, what are the uses of priority queues? There are many, but for example, we can say that we can simulate to order events. For example, parking assignment. If two cars arrive, right? My drawing is not that good, so something like this. I think car. Yeah. So, so if two cars arrive, and we say that it is not based on first in, first out. He arrived first. This guy arrived later on. But if he has a higher priority, maybe his car is bigger or something like that, the guy is some VIP or something, then this is going to be processed first. So the point is that some of the uses of priority queue are that we can decide what should be processed first and what should be processed later on. And we will see when you must have done a course in operating systems. If not, very soon I think you are going to do it. Have you done a course in operating systems or computer organization, CSO, computer system organization? Next time, all right. So uh, you will see there that we need to prioritize things so that our operating system can perform perfectly, right? And in those cases, these priority queues are going to play a very important role. Since we know that all of the processes are of not same priority when they go to our processor and they are executed there. So priority queues play a very important role. Anyway, so we are going to discuss about the binary heap or tree. So a binary heap is also a binary tree, right? I will just underline it. Is a binary tree. So what is a binary tree? We have one parent and two children. Parent, two children, then parent, two children. So any parent node, this is the parent node, and these guys are the child nodes. And we should remember that this guy is child node as well as this is also parent node, right? Parent node. Parent for this and maybe this one also, and a child for this one, right? So this is child for this one and parent for these. So a binary heap is a binary tree, and binary tree is the one where the each node has at most two children, right? We should remember that what we are saying is that it is going to have at most two children, right? There could be one also. So we can have a tree which looks something like this, right? So this has two child nodes, but this has only one child node, right? So at most one child node and satisfies these two properties. Second property we will see it can. So binary tree is said to be complete, right? It is said to be complete if every level except the bottommost level is completely filled means, so we should remember, as we discussed in tree, which was kind of an introduction to the tree. So, we have one node. We have one node means that there is some value which is stored over here. For example, 48. Then we have two children, which indicates that there are values which are stored in this children also, maybe 5 and 6. And then we have another child which has some other value, maybe 3, right? And then we have this child over here. Is this a tree? What is the problem with this tree? What is the problem with this tree? Anyone? Anybody? What is the problem with this tree? So we cannot have a child which has nothing. Child means that there is some value over here. When we say that there is a tree, this tree is actually going to be maybe an array, or it can be a linked list, etc., etc. This is only a re-representation of the items which are already stored. So this type of tree is not there. So this is a tree, right? Then the tree is complete. So we have to remember that the conditions over here, binary heap is a binary tree which satisfies this condition. Binary tree is complete, which means that we have a parent node, then we have child nodes, then we have child nodes. Bottommost level is complete. So, for example, this type of tree is going to be considered as a complete tree. And the reason is that bottommost level is completely filled and nodes of the bottommost level are positioned as left as possible, right? So this is a complete tree. Whereas if we create another tree, sorry, right? If we create another tree, this tree is not complete. And the reason is that bottommost level does not have the node which is positioned as left as possible, right? We have it over here. Whereas to have a complete binary tree, this must have been over here, right? In this case, this is true. We started filling up the tree from the leftmost to the rightmost. So whenever next element comes, it is going to be over here. Next come, it's going to be over here. Next comes, it's going to be over here, and so on and so forth. Is it clear to all of you when a tree is going to be complete? Or if you want, I can repeat it also. Say something, yes or no. What does completely filled means? Completely filled means that when we are going to create these values. So for example, the first value comes and in our tree we are going to store it over here, 10. When the next value comes, it is going to be stored on the left hand side, 5. Next comes, we are going to store it at 4, and so on and so forth. So completely, so we are going to assume that, we already have these over here. And completely filled is going to tell us that we start filling up the values right from top to bottom, which means that, so for example, if we have uh, another child over here, we cannot fill the levels in such a way that after 5, suppose 3 comes, we keep it over here, right? Right? Sorry, not over here, but for example, we cannot say that when 4 comes, let me just erase it, just 1 second. We, so for example, when 4 comes, we cannot put this 4 over here, right? This type of tree is called as not completely filled tree, because whenever next term arrives, we have to first fill the empty nodes at level n, right? Which means that first we are going to fill level 0 or level 1, whatever we call it. Then we are going to fill the next level. Then we are going to fill the next level, and so on and so forth. So this type of filling is not acceptable, where 4 comes over here and this remains empty. So we say that completely filled means that we will say that a particular tree is completely filled if and only if the all the elements on a particular level are occupied by values. So for example, this tree is not completely filled. And the reason is that this particular child is empty. Since we have said that we are going to look at binary trees only, therefore we can quickly find out whether at a particular level the tree is completely filled or not. Right? Does that answers to your question? Okay. This was first, that it must be completely filled. And second is, nodes of the bottommost level are positioned as left as possible, right? So we should keep it in mind that we are going to start filling the values from left to right, irrespective of on which level we are. With this in mind, we can create max heap or min heap. Now, we are going to first going to look at the max heap property, right? Max heap property is the key of every node is larger than or equal to its children. So we say that the key, which means the value within the node, right? So we have this, we have this, we have this over here, and suppose the values which are going to write down is 10 and 5 and 4. Is it a max heap or not? Does this represents a max heap? The key, so these are called as the keys. The key of every node is larger than or equal to its children. Keeping this property in mind, do you think that this tree is max heap or not? All right, so one of two of you said that yes, it is, which is the correct answer. It is max heap, right? If, for example, we replace these values, suppose in place of 5, we write down 15, right? Now you can see that this key value is lower than this 15, and therefore this is not a max heap, right? So the key of every node is larger than or equal to its children. Then we are going to say that this particular thing is a max heap, right? And then we have something which is called as min heap, right? Uh, Min heap, a binary heap in which every node is smaller then or equal to their children is called as min heap. So can you tell me if this is max heap or min heap? You can write down one or two, or max heap or min heap, whatever you want. Is this a max heap or min heap? All right, I got two answers. Anybody else? Some people are so much deep in sleep that even writing down one is very difficult for them. All right, great. Thank you for this. Many people have wrote down. So this is max heap, right? Because if we look at this tree, we will see that every key is greater than its child, right? So 100 is greater than 1936. This is greater than this. This is greater than this, and so on and so forth. So it is a max heap. Max heap. So let's look at another example and find out whether we have understood. So we have, before we move, we have max heap, and we have min heap, and max heap is the one where the parent node has higher value, whereas this min heap is the one where parent has lower VA value, which key value, right? So this is the difference between max heap and min heap. I hope you understood it. Any questions? All right, it seems that you understood it. So let's quickly look at two examples. We have max heap and we have, this is our min heap. And we can see that whatever conditions we put down, they are true for both of the cases. In this case, parent is always greater than the child. Over here, parent is always less than the child, right? So we have max heap and we have min heap. So as one of the questions was this, what is complete binary tree? So we have two types of binary trees. One is full binary tree, and then we have complete binary tree. And these are the differences. This is the difference, general difference between full binary tree and complete binary tree. So a full binary tree is a special type of binary tree where every parent node has either two or no children, right? Which means that, for example, if we try to create this full binary tree, we are going to have something like this. Uh, this is a full binary tree, right? Because every node has either two child, right? For example, this has two child, this has two child, or they have no child at all. For example, this guy has no child. Whereas if we contrast it with complete binary tree, a complete binary tree is just like a full binary tree, but with two major differences. Every level must be completely filled, as we said earlier. All the leaf elements must lean towards the left. The last leaf element might not have a right sibling. A complete binary tree doesn't have to be full binary tree, right? So this means that we can have a tree where, right? So this tree is complete binary tree, but if we compare it with this one, we'll see that there is a big difference. That in this case, this guy doesn't have two children, and therefore it is not complete. So let us look at four possibilities. Uh, Binary tree, full binary tree, and complete tree, right? So please look at these four diagrams over here. In this case, this first is neither binary nor full nor complete, right? Not binary because you can see over here it has three children, whereas for binary tree, at the most we can have two children. This particular tree is binary tree, but it is neither full nor complete. Can you tell me why it is not full or why it is neither full nor complete? Anyone? Yes. Why do you think that 8 is to the right side? Exactly. What you have said is exactly true. So 8 in this case, as we said, that the items must be left. So they must be placed on the leftmost side, right? And if we look at this 8 over here, it is not on the left hand side. If this 8 would have been on this side, we would have had said that this particular tree is complete tree or full tree. If this 8 was over here in place of over here, so let us try to recreate the scenario so that it's easier for you to answer. We have 9 over here and 8 over here, right? So in place of this, if we would have had this type of situation, did we have called this tree as full tree or binary complete tree? Complete tree, right? This would have been a complete tree, right? Like for example this, right? You can see that we started filling up the children nodes from the left hand side, and this is a full complete tree, whereas this one is a full tree, binary tree, as well as complete tree. This particular tree is not full tree because one of the children is missing. We know that a full tree is the one where every node has either two children or no children, right? In this case it has no children and this has two children, therefore this is free. Every node has two or no children, therefore this is a binary tree. And we have started filling up the things from the leftmost side, therefore it is a complete tree. Right, so based on by looking like this at trees, we can find out whether a particular tree is a binary tree, full tree, or complete tree, or a combination of these three, or all of them. Right? Any questions? Okay. So when we try to implement these type of trees, we can utilize this methodology, right? We can say that every node numbered n, left child is going to be 2n and right child is going to be 2n plus 1, right? So a parent of any node is going to be do you know this symbol? What does it indicates? Anyone? Anybody? So this is called as the floor function, right? Floor function. Floor function is This indicates that, for example, we have 3.7, right? And we apply a floor function over here, this value will become 3. If, for example, we have 3.1 and we apply a floor function, this will become 3, right? And for example, this is called as ceiling function, right? So if we apply 3.7 ceiling, this will become 4. And if we apply 3.1 ceiling function, this will also become 4. So floor means the lower value and ceiling means the upper. I mean, we have to round it off to its nearest integer upper value, right? So this is the floor function which we are going to utilize over here. Floor is going to be n by 2 is going to be the parent node, and 2n and 2n plus 1 are going to be the child nodes. 2n is going to be the left one, 2n plus 1 is going to be the right one. So if we can check it in this particular matrix over here, right? Just 1 second. Yes, so n is equal to 1. This is the parent node. Let me just change the color. So this is the parent node. And then we have 2n. So 2 is going to be the first leftmost child for this particular node. And 2n plus 1, 3 is going to be the right hand side child. For this 2n, which is 4, is going to be the leftmost child. 2n plus 1 is 5, is going to be the rightmost child. 6 is going to the leftmost child. 7 is going to be the rightmost child. 8 and 9, right? So you can see that with the n, 2n, 2n plus 1, and floor of n by 2, we can find out the tree, right? So for example, if I want to find out the value of the uh, the parent node for this 5, all I have to do is 5 by 2 and calculate the floor. So this is going to be 2.5 and I apply floor. This is going to be equal to 2. And if we check, then we will see that this 2 is actually parent of 5, right? This indicates that our proposition to divide an array into priority nodes is right or is correct, right? Let, for example, let's look at the example. Second, we have this string TSRPNOAEIHG, and it is stored in an array. Now we would like to create a binary array out of this whole thing. Our T will come first, then will come S, then we'll have R over here, then we'll have P, N, E, I, H, G, and O, A. Right? So this is the heap representation of our original array AI, right? By using this formulation of n, 2n, 2n plus 1, sorry, right? N, 2n, 2n plus 1, and floor of n by 2, we are able to create this heap from our original array AI. A. Right, this is one of the simple ways, and then let us look at a few more things so that our heap becomes clear to us. The height of a heap is going to be uh, how far or the number of edges on the longest simple downward path from the node to a leaf, and the height of the heap to the height of the root, that is theta log n. So for example, height of node 2 over here is 2, and the height of the heap is 3, right? 1, oh, sorry. Height of the heap is 3, 1, 2, 3, right? This is the height of the overall heap, and the height of node 2 is 1, 2, right? So the height of node is 2 and height of the heap is equal to 3. So the height of node is number of edges on the longest simple downward path from the node to a particular leaf. And the height of the leaf heap is going to be the height of the overall from the lowest most node to the root node, right? To the root node. So this is the height of heap, and this was the height of node 2. And similarly, we can find out the height of any node. We can use, so this is one of the nomenclatures which we are going to utilize over the period of time, right? Okay. Any questions? All right. So to begin with, let us assume that we already have a binary heap. How should we deal with it when the key at a known index is increased? The point is that, for example, we already have now what we are trying to, the problem which we are trying to solve, or not the problem, I mean, uh, the ways in which we can expand our heap, right? So we have to increase the key and we have to insert it somewhere. For example, if we already have a heap, right? So let me draw a small heap over here. If we already have a heap, we'll look at program an example later on also. Right. So, and we are going to consider that what we are going to look at is max heap, right? So, keeping this in mind, which is going to indicate that the parent key is always going to be greater than its child key, right? So, if, for example, if a new key comes, right, and its value is smaller than its parent, then we can always, so now next is going to be, suppose this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. When a new key comes, can you tell me where are we going to insert it? When a new key comes, right, we have to insert it to the left of 5, right? So this indicates that we already know where we have to insert the key. When the new key comes, and if it is smaller than whatever key is stored at 5, we can easily insert it over here. But if it is not smaller than 5, then what we have to do is we have to exchange the key with its parent. So these two will be swapped, and this will become child, this will become the parent. Then we are going to compare it with the root node also. And if this is, for example, greater than this also, then we have to swap them too, so that they reach to the correct position, right? And this is how we are going to insert the keys as and when they appear. So, so for insertion, we append a value to the end of the binary tree and then float it up as long as necessary. This is going to be when the value of a key increases, which can happen in some situations. We'll see what those situations are, right? But the point is, we have to make sure that whenever we have a key which has a value more than its child, in that case, we have to keep on moving the key up towards its parents and swap the parent with the children key, right? So let us, right? So here it is, right? So we had a key 46, which we were trying to insert. we already know that the position where we have to insert is going to be over here, since we are creating uh, complete binary tree. Now we are going to compare that this value 46 is greater than 19, which was the parent. Therefore, we have swapped 46 with 19. And once 46 comes over here, we are going to compare it with its parent, which was 38. And then we are going to swap this 46 over here, right? And once we have 46 over here, we are going to compare it with this root node, which is 90, and 46 is less than 90. Therefore, we stop over here on only. And our max heap becomes with 46 over here, 38 over here, and 19 over here, right? We started with the insertion of value 48 at this position, but since this value was greater than the parent and we are creating a binary tree, therefore we have to keep on moving it, right? So this is how we can do it. And this is how we create the overall heap also, right? The first item which comes, which appears over here, is going to be the one which is the first element. And once we have that first element, it is going to be the root element. And then after that, when the second element comes, we are going to compare it with the root element. So 2 was over here, then we had 7, 7 was greater, so we swapped it. Then 26 was here, 7 was lesser than 26, so we swapped them together, and so on and so forth. So let me just go very, very slow. Right, so we had first element was 2, next was 7. 7 was greater than 2, therefore we swapped them together. 7 becomes the parent and 2 becomes the child. The next element which we were supposed to insert was equal to 26. Now we know that 26 is greater than 7, therefore we swap them together. 26 becomes the parent, 7 becomes the child. Next item which comes is 25. We know that 25 is greater than 2, therefore we are going to swap them, but 25 is less than 26. Therefore it stops over here. Next item which comes is going to be inserted on this side over here, right? We'll see. Uh, this item will be inserted over here, and this item is 19, which is less than 25, so it will keep wherever it is, and so on and so forth, right? And this is how we can create a max heap. All we have to do is we have to take the decision of swapping based on all other values. So you can see over here that at the end of the complete process, we have created a max heap from values which were stored in some array or something, right? One by one, we took them out, and then slowly we place them at their correct positions. Okay. Any questions? All right. So next we are going to look at a function which is called as max heapify. Max. All right, please give a real life example of trees. Right. So we are going to do it in the next class, where we are going to look at a particular tree, and then we are going to look at that particular example. Right. Do we link nodes like we link nodes in linked list? It depends. So the point is that, in this case, I think this. So there are two questions. First, I will answer the second question. Second question is, do we link nodes like we link nodes in linked list? The point is that, in this particular case, this is just a re-representation of the elements which are already stored in our maybe in an array or linked list, right? We will be able to understand it slightly better when we look at the example which we are going to look at next time. So both of the questions, please give a real life example on trees. We are going to do both of the things in the next lecture. I will show you. Oh, I think showing will be a bad idea. So we are going to answer to both of the questions in the next slide, in the next lecture. Any other question? And the reason is that, once we look at the max heapify function, we will be able to understand this better than if we answer to these questions today. Although we have it here only in one of the slides, we have this. We just quickly go to that slide. Here it is. So we'll look at this example, but not today. We are going to look at this example on Friday. Anything else? And then we are going to look at the heap sort also, how it works and why should we utilize it and so on and so forth. No more questions. All right. So we'll meet on Friday, right? If you have anything else to say, please feel free to ask.